Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." A phrase that truly encapsulates the spirit of a man whose life was anything but ordinary. Born in the heart of South Africa, in the small village of Mvezo, on a chilly day in July 1918, a legend was quietly taking his first breath. Named Rolihlahla, meaning troublemaker, by his father, nobody could have predicted the monumental role this child would play in world history. Born into the Thembu royal family, young Mandela was destined for leadership. But it wasn't the throne he was destined to occupy, it was a much larger stage. His early education, a privilege not many black South Africans had access to at the time, was instrumental in shaping his worldview. He was a quick learner, a voracious reader and a keen observer. These qualities would later become the bedrock of his leadership. His journey began as a humble student, but destiny had different plans for him. In 1943, a spark ignited in Mandela's heart, a spark that would forever change not just his life, but the course of an entire nation. It was in this year that Nelson Mandela, a young man from the Thembu royal family, found himself enrolled at the University of Witwatersrand, one of the few educational institutions at the time that did not discriminate on the basis of race. At Witwatersrand, Mandela's eyes were opened to the harsh realities of racial and social injustice. He met fellow students and professors who were actively involved in the fight against apartheid, the oppressive system of racial segregation that was deeply entrenched in South African society. Their passion and commitment to this cause resonated deeply with Mandela, awakening within him an innate sense of justice and an unquenchable thirst for equality. Driven by this newfound awareness, Mandela took his first steps into the world of politics. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC, a political party dedicated to ending apartheid and establishing a democratic and inclusive South Africa. At the ANC, Mandela found like-minded individuals who shared his vision for a better future, and he quickly rose through the ranks, becoming an instrumental figure in the party's fight against apartheid. But Mandela's journey was not without its challenges. His involvement with the ANC made him a target for the oppressive regime. He was arrested, harassed, and threatened, but he never wavered. He stood firm in his convictions, refusing to let fear silence his voice or dampen his spirit. The spark of activism had ignited, setting the stage for a life of struggle and resistance. This was just the beginning for Mandela. He had taken his first steps on the long, arduous path that would eventually lead him to become a symbol of resilience and a beacon of hope for millions around the world. His journey had begun, and there was no turning back. Mandela believed in freedom, and he was willing to fight for it. Just as a tree stands tall against the harshest winds, so did Nelson Mandela stand tall against the oppressive forces of apartheid. His belief in freedom was not just a thought, it was a force that drove him, a force that guided him through his life's most challenging battles. He wasn't just a spectator in the fight against apartheid, no. Mandela was a warrior on the front lines. He played a prominent role in various campaigns, leading protests and rallies, standing up against the oppressive regime that sought to divide and rule. His voice echoed through the streets, his words stirred the hearts of many, and his actions became a beacon of hope for those living under the shadow of apartheid. But this journey was not without its perils. Mandela's fight against the system wasn't welcomed by those in power. He was arrested multiple times, a testament to the threat he posed to the oppressive regime. Yet each arrest only served to strengthen his resolve. Each time he was knocked down, he got back up, standing taller and fighting harder. And then came the year 1964. A year that would mark a significant turning point in Mandela's life. Accused of conspiring to overthrow the state, Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. A life sentence for a life dedicated to freedom, a cruel irony indeed. But did this break him? Did this end his fight? No, it did not. For Mandela, this was just another chapter in his ongoing struggle for freedom. His physical freedom may have been taken away, but his spirit, his resolve, his belief in freedom remained unbroken. A man who stood for freedom found himself confined within the walls of a prison. Yet even within those walls, Mandela's spirit soared high, his fight continued, and his dream of a free South Africa lived on. And as we'll see in the next chapter, his journey was far from over. Imprisonment is not just about the confinement of the body, but also the mind. But Mandela's spirit remained unbroken. Even within the grim walls of prison, Nelson Mandela's resilience shone like a beacon, penetrating the darkness that apartheid cast over South Africa. He was sentenced to life in prison in 1964, a punishment meant to silence his powerful voice. Yet, Mandela refused to be silenced. For 27 long years he was confined, but his spirit was indomitable. His cell was a mere 7 feet by 8, but his influence extended far beyond those concrete walls. He was behind bars, but his message, his unwavering belief in equality, justice, and freedom, resonated with the people of South Africa and the world. As the years passed, Mandela became more than just a man in prison. He became a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope in the struggle against racial segregation. His name was whispered in hushed voices, his story shared in secret gatherings, his ideals carried in the hearts of those who yearned for a better, freer South Africa. Despite the harsh conditions and the relentless passing of time, Mandela remained unbroken. He continued to learn, to grow, to plan for a future where all South Africans could live in peace and harmony, irrespective of their race. His letters from prison, filled with wisdom and foresight, became a testament to his unwavering commitment to the cause. And then, in 1990, after 27 years of confinement, Mandela was released from prison. The world watched in awe as he walked out of those prison gates, his head held high, his spirit unbroken. His release marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just in his life, but in the history of South Africa. Despite the chains, Mandela's spirit soared high, and his message echoed beyond the prison walls. In 1994, South Africa saw the dawn of a new era, an era of change, hope, and most importantly, freedom. The iron grip of apartheid was finally loosening its hold on the country, and the winds of change began to sweep across the land. Leading these winds was none other than Nelson Mandela, who had spent 27 long years imprisoned for his unyielding stand against the oppressive regime. But even the cold, hard walls of a cell couldn't break his spirit or his resolve. He was a man on a mission, and nothing could deter him from his path. Stepping out of the shadows of his past, Mandela took center stage in the negotiations to end apartheid. His vision was clear: a South Africa free of racial segregation and inequality. A South Africa where every person, regardless of their race or color, had their rightful place. His determination and diplomatic skills were instrumental in bringing the oppressive regime to the negotiating table. And then came the day that would forever change the course of South African history, the 27th of April 1994. For the first time in the country's history, all South Africans, irrespective of their race, were allowed to vote in the general election. It was a sight to behold as millions queued up to exercise their newly won right. The result? Nelson Mandela, the man who had once been labeled a terrorist by the very government he was now poised to lead, was elected as the first black president of South Africa. It was a victory not just for Mandela, but for every South African who had dared to dream of a better, freer future. Mandela's presidency marked the beginning of a new chapter in the country's history. He focused on racial reconciliation and introduced measures to combat poverty and expand healthcare services. It was a time of healing, of rebuilding, and of moving forward. Mandela's tireless fight had finally brought about the change he had longed for. His journey from a small village in Mvezo to the highest office in the land is a testament to his indomitable spirit and unwavering belief in justice and equality. His legacy continues to inspire millions around the world, reminding us that no fight is too big and no dream too far-fetched if we dare to believe and persevere. Mandela's journey did not end with his presidency. After leaving the office, he continued to be a beacon of hope and inspiration. He dedicated his post-presidential years to emphasizing racial reconciliation, a testament to his enduring commitment to unity and peace. His work wasn't limited to promoting harmony, he also turned his attention to battling poverty, recognizing that economic equality was a crucial part of the larger fight for justice. He believed in the power of education and healthcare, and tirelessly worked to expand these services, ensuring that they reached the most marginalized sections of society. Throughout his life, Mandela received numerous honors that recognized his incredible contributions to humanity. Among them was the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize, a symbol of his unyielding dedication to peace and justice. But perhaps his greatest honor was the love and respect he received from people all around the world. And so, even as we remember him, his journey continues. Mandela's legacy of resilience, compassion, and unwavering commitment to justice continues to inspire millions around the world. Mandela's life was a beacon of hope and resilience. Born into a royal family, he chose a path of struggle and resistance, not for personal gain, but for the rights and equality of his people. His life wasn't a smooth sail, it was a turbulent storm, marked by imprisonments and hardships. Yet he stood unbroken, his spirit unyielding. He spent 27 long years behind bars, yet he emerged not with bitterness, but with a vision of reconciliation and unity. His presidency marked the dawn of a new era, an era of hope and healing for a nation torn apart by racial injustice. His legacy is not just a record of his achievements, but a testament to the power of resilience and the indomitable spirit of humanity. It's a story of a man who, against all odds, stood up for what he believed in and changed the course of history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." We hope you found some inspiration in this story as we did. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more inspiring stories and more.